Welcome to episode 6 of Wellness Wednesday's audio series. I'm Nissrine, registered holistic nutritionist, mindful nutrition and wellness coach, and founder of holisticness.com. I created this series to bring a fresh perspective to nutrition and wellness, one that is centered on and led by you. There's a plethora of information out there, and it can be really hard to know what to do and eat to feel good in your body. It's easy to get caught up in fad diets and wellness trends, often questioning, doubting, and second guessing your decisions when it comes to the way you nourish and care for yourself. But I wholeheartedly believe that reconnecting with your own innate wisdom to know what your body needs to thrive is the first step to a life-changing transformation and true lasting wellness. And that progress is made by taking small steps mindfully, intentionally, and consistently. In today's episode, I'm talking about making healthy choices without subscribing to fad diets, rigid food rules, and restrictive meal plans. These days, nutrition information and advice is rampant all over the internet and social media. Everyone is a so-called expert, and it can be confusing to know what it means to eat healthy. Everyone has a different definition for it based on their own agenda. To make matters worse, the clash between traditional diet culture and the non-diet approach to nutrition has created a seemingly black and white mindset when it comes to nutrition and wellness. The more I speak with women these days, the more confusion there seems to be. And I hear a lot of this. I want to make changes to my eating and lifestyle habits, Nissrine, but I feel like it's wrong to make any intentional changes to the way I eat and move, and it feels wrong to want to lose weight. First of all, the non-diet approach to nutrition and wellness is not an anti-health approach. The non-diet approach simply means you don't subscribe to extreme behaviors when it comes to your food and exercise habits in the pursuit of weight loss. The non-diet approach basically takes a holistic view of wellness beyond food and exercise. In other words, it encourages you to make changes and to find a balance that works for you in making those changes. For some, food and exercise may be a focus, but for others, it might not be. Now, while I generally support a non-diet, weight-neutral approach to nutrition and wellness, I do believe that nourishing your body well with intention is a key component of holistic health and well-being, whether or not you have body composition goals. And I take the time to educate my clients about what a balanced, health-supporting way of eating could look like. And surprise, all of this has nothing to do with the desire to lose weight. It's all about feeling good in your body. And in order to feel good in your body, you need to nourish your body well. It certainly isn't extreme, rigid, or restrictive. My approach is centered around education and guidance, so helping my clients to reconnect to their own innate wisdom to know what their body needs to thrive, so they can use evidence-based nutrition principles as a tool to support them on their wellness journey and not as a weapon against their bodies. So all of that said, I'd like to share 5 very simple ways that you can make healthier choices to support your unique body without resorting to extremes like fad diets, calorie counting, macro tracking, restrictive meal plans, or rigid food rules. These are the low-hanging fruit that anyone can start working on immediately. One is to hydrate your body adequately. We all know the importance of water, right? Now, research has shown that women who appear to be adequately hydrated get an average of 2.7 liters of fluid a day. Now, that's fluid from all sources, including food, pure water, coffee, tea, and other beverages. That's actually how the daily recommended fluid intake came to be. In general, it's a good idea for you to drink when you're thirsty, right? But drinking fluids with intention throughout the day is a great way to stay ahead of your thirst by keeping your body well hydrated. Now, if you're doing this and you're new to this, you may find yourself going to the bathroom more often in the beginning if you're not used to drinking all of this water. But in time, your body will adjust. As a general rule of thumb, I would say aim to get 1.8 to 2 liters of water per day, and the rest from other beverages like herbal tea, soup, or high water content foods. So most fruits and non-starchy vegetables count when it comes to high water content foods. And if you focus on these things, you'll be well within the daily recommended fluid intake. Now, if you're looking at this or listening to this and thinking 2 liters sounds like a lot of water, try to break it down and you may find that it's actually quite manageable. The trick is to spread it out evenly throughout the day so that you're not drinking large amounts in one sitting, which will, cause you to have some discomfort and rush to the bathroom, right, to empty your bladder. Now, if you're struggling to get enough water, here are a few tips that might help you. One is that you can set a timer to remind yourself to drink every so often. So you can set a timer that says, hey, take a sip of water every hour, take a sip of water every half hour, and so on and so forth. What I like to do is I like to keep a water bottle or a jug at my desk and to have it full throughout the whole day. So I sip on it and I continuously fill it and sip on it until when it gets about halfway to 3/4 of the way down, I refill it and I just continuously sip on it throughout the day. Now, if you find it difficult to sip on plain water constantly, I know some people have said that they don't like the taste of water, which I find a little bit odd, but I mean, we're all different. Herbal tea is a good option, right? As is fruit infused water. Now, fruit infused water is so simple and it's so refreshing, especially in the warm summer months. You just take some fresh fruit, chop it up into pieces, and put it into some plain filtered water. I really love using fresh berries or even frozen berries in water with a squeeze of lemon juice, and it makes for a really nice, refreshing drink. Add some basil, some sprigs of mint, and you've got a really refreshing beverage. Another way that you can help yourself drink more water is to use a phone app to track your water intake. There are many of those nowadays that you can download, and you can set your goal and it will remind you to drink a specified amount of water at different intervals throughout the day. And remember, it takes time and practice to cultivate any habit, and water consumption is something most people struggle to get enough of, in spite of knowing how important it is. So don't worry if you're struggling in the beginning. Do your best. All right, let's move on to number 2. Focus on whole foods and plant diversity. Now, when I say this, I'm not referring to an exclusively whole food plant-based diet. Okay, when I say plant diversity, I just mean a variety of colorful plants in your diet. So you don't have to be vegetarian or exclusively plant-based or vegan or anything like that, right? But when you eat whole or minimally processed foods, you're giving your body a wide array of nutrients and what it needs to thrive and flourish as nature intended, okay? So unlike highly refined and processed foods that tend to be hyper palatable, meaning that they're designed for overconsumption because of the mix of sugar, fat, salt that goes into them, whole and minimally processed foods are much more nutrient dense and contain an abundance of vitamins, minerals like antioxidants and phytochemicals, fiber, and all of the amazing things that nourish our cells. And including a diverse variety of whole plant foods to your meals adds different types of fiber to your diet and promotes the growth of good gut bacteria and a balanced microbiome and a more resilient immune system for better overall health. Now, while it's possible to overeat whole foods, you're much less likely to do so in comparison to processed nutrient poor foods that are largely made up of empty calories. So, for example, if you're eating a bag of chips to satiety, to fullness, chances are you've already eaten overeaten the chips, right? Because it's going to take a lot of chips to keep you satiated, okay? The more whole foods you add to a meal, the less room there is for foods that fill you up without supporting your nutritional needs. And I like to use this kind of as an example with my clients. If you enjoy chips and you're really craving them, instead of thinking about diving into a bag of chips on its own, think about how you can incorporate those chips into a balanced meal. So what you have then is, it doesn't mean that you have to give up the foods that you enjoy if they don't fit the ideal description of a whole food, or if they aren't considered to be a generally health promoting food. So think about, salad with some guacamole and corn chips on the side. Chances are you're not going to fill up on the guacamole and the chips, rather. If you've got the guacamole, which is satiating, it's nutrient dense, and you've got a really well balanced salad that contains all of the major macronutrient groups. So this is just to say that all foods fit into a mindful eating practice. When you have the knowledge and awareness kind of what your food is made of and how it affects you, you can make mindful choices about which foods you want to consume on a regular basis and which you prefer to consume occasionally or not at all, right? When you're informed, the power rests with you, right? It's not about food rules and restrictions, but rather about making the choices that are going to support your body in the best way possible. Moving on to number 3, it's all about kitchen planning, pantry planning, meal planning, and cooking. So we know that when we're well prepared, we're more likely to eat healthy, well balanced meals. And in fact, research has proven that people who cook at home are more likely to do so. They're more likely to eat healthy and well balanced meals because home cooked meals usually means less fast food, more vegetables, more fiber, less sugar, all because we have complete control of how much of these ingredients, if any at all, to add to our own preparations, right? But it all starts with stocking your kitchen strategically and planning out your meals for the week ahead. Especially if you're new to cooking or have limited time to spend in the kitchen, this is where stocking your kitchen strategically and meal planning is really, really important. And then once you have a meal plan in place, you can make a list of all of the ingredients that you need, go shopping, stock your refrigerator, stock your pantry, and then you'll be ready to get cooking throughout the week. But remember, meals don't have to be elaborate and complex, right? In fact, keeping it simple is the antidote to mealtime stress. And if you don't know how to cook or don't enjoy cooking, in the famous words of Julia Child, no one is born a great cook. One learns by doing. So it'll happen in time. You may never grow to be a passionate home cook, but you can learn to create healthy, balanced meals for yourself and actually enjoy doing it because you see and feel the results on your own body and it makes you want to do it even more. And as I like to remind my clients often, is no one is expecting you to be Nigella Lawson or Gordon Ramsay in the kitchen. So just keep it simple, right? Do what you can in the kitchen. That's all anyone can ask of you. Moving on to number 4 is all about macronutrient balanced meals. So when you focus on creating macronutrient balanced meals, by filling your plate with quality proteins, essential fatty acids, and complex fiber-rich carbohydrates, it satiates your hunger and gives your body what it truly needs to thrive. Now, these are not rigid rules. These are just some guidelines that you might want to consider following when you're doing this. You want to choose, as we talked about in number 2 above, whole, minimally processed, nutrient-dense foods, okay? You want to choose foods that you like and enjoy eating in order to make this process enjoyable and sustainable in the long term. If you're always eating foods that you don't really enjoy, but you think that you have to eat them because they're quote-unquote health promoting, it's not going to last very long, right? You're eventually going to start craving the foods that you really love and you enjoy eating, and you're going to gravitate towards those. So find a way to incorporate the foods that you love into a macronutrient balanced meal, even if it doesn't necessarily fit the definition of a health promoting food. A couple of more tricks is to cover at least half your plate with vegetables and then fill out the rest with other complex carbohydrates that are rich in dietary fiber. Add a source of protein that is going to help fill you up. Add some healthy fat as well. That's going to provide a lot more satisfaction to your meal. And don't forget to add flavor, right? You want to add things like herbs and spices and condiments, things like lemon juice and extra virgin olive oil and olives and avocados, vinegars, and things like that are all going to add flavor to your meal for maximum satisfaction and enjoyment. And last but not least, challenge yourself to try new ingredients, cooking techniques, and recipes, because that's going to keep things a lot more interesting so that you don't get bored of eating the same bowl of food or plate of food every single day or every second day. Now, when you focus on creating macronutrient balanced, plant-centric, nutrient-dense whole food meals like we've just been talking about, there's no need to count calories, weigh or measure your food, or deprive yourself of anything. As you know, you'll be nourishing your body with all the essential nutrients it needs to thrive. All right? Last but not least, we have number 5, which is all about eating for your unique body. Okay, while there are great evidence-based nutrition principles to guide us, when it comes to nourishment, there's no such thing as one size fits all. So it's best to mind your own plate and choose from a variety of foods that you enjoy eating and that make you feel good. Now, this is probably the most difficult concept for people to grasp and act on, because diet culture has taught us that we can't trust ourselves. Mindful eating practices, however, play an important role in rebuilding confident eating habits. So start by paying attention to how well your body digests what you eat. What actually fills you up and what doesn't? And how satisfied do you feel after a meal? Now remember, being full and being satisfied are two different things. Satiety and satisfaction are two different things. Something might fill you up, right, to a good point of satiety, but it might not satisfy you because maybe it wasn't something that you enjoyed eating. So what you want to do is you want to pay attention to all of these things, your body's cues, your mind's cues, and try to find that balance where everything kind of fits nicely together. Now, a food and mood journal is a great tool for this, okay? By keeping record of your food intake, not obsessively, of course. So I'm not talking about calories in and macros and portion sizes and weighing things and measuring what you're eating, but just a rough recount of what you eat and how you feel physically and non-physically after meals. When you start tracking these things, patterns begin to emerge, and you'll start noticing things that maybe you didn't notice before. You'll be able to identify the foods that make you feel your best and the ones that don't make you feel all that great. Another way that, another reason why patterns begin to emerge is because we talked about all of the 5 things, like water and focusing on whole foods and balancing your meals. They all kind of play a really intricate role together, and the food and mood journal. They all come together at the end of the day, because when you're focusing on all of these things, it's going to leave a lot more room for your body to give you those signals. But the idea is that when you're doing all of these things, your body's going to speak to you and it's going to start to tell you what it needs. You're going to have room to listen and to reconnect back to that innate wisdom. All right. So there you have it. These are 5 ways, very simple ways, that you can make healthier choices to support your unique body without resorting to extremes like fad diets, calorie or macro counting, restrictive meal plans, or rigid food rules. And anybody can put these 5 things into practice immediately, right? Now, if this is something that you need support with, I invite you to book a no obligation complimentary wellness consultation with me to chat about your goals and how my approach to mindful nutrition and wellness can support you. All right, I'll leave the link in the notes below this recording. So, on that note, thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and share it with a friend. And be sure to tune in next week for another episode of Wellness Wednesday audio series, where I share a short audio clip each week to inspire you to reconnect with yourself on a deeper level so you can start nourishing and caring for yourself more mindfully and intentionally. Until next week, stay healthy, happy, and safe.